get involved.
Let's get this sports podcast party started, all right?
The J Reels Podcast.
Why don't you wait until July 1st to make an announcement? What a disgrace. He can rack up all these numbers in October, November, and December, but what really counts is let me see this in January.
The sports rebel without a pause, delivering fast-paced, jam-packed sports talk like no other.
Listen, I gotta call it as I see it. He is not a good player. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with the disappointment of this franchise. When does it stop? And yes, another winter that I can sleep in peace. Coming correct, directed, in full effect. Let's get it.
This is the J Reels Podcast. Welcome aboard.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic, in excellent spirits. Yes, it's been 10 days since I've done a podcast, but I'm here now to deliver all that's happening in the sports world as this is the J Reels Podcast with J Reels. For my first timers, welcome aboard. And for those who've been banging with me, going back to the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, even as early as last Monday, I welcome you guys and gals back as we get into it. And if you missed my live stream yesterday, every Wednesday, 12 noon, where I talk about everything that's happening in sports, but I caught up everybody as to my whereabouts this past weekend. Definitely want to go back to the archives and check that out if you want to, or if you're wondering what happened to me, why I didn't have a podcast last Thursday or even this past Monday. So I unpack what had transpired this past weekend. A lot of fun, left the country, but now back in the seat at the sports desk, ready to chop it up with all that's going on in the sports world. And where I'm going to begin, and of course, anybody has any comments, please feel free to leave them in the chat room. I will get to those at the back end of this stream of consciousness that I have in the 12 o'clock hour. So whatever it is that's on your mind, please don't be shy. Post a comment, and I'll be sure to follow up with that later on in the podcast. So let's get right to it. The NBA front and center. Really, when we think about what's happening in sports, it's going to be the NBA, Stanley Cup Playoffs in the NHL, followed by baseball, and then an NFL schedule release thing that I definitely want to talk about. But for starters, and where I live, here in the 5 boroughs of New York City, and the excitement by the second is building. It almost seems as if the people that live here, that wear the blue and orange, or the orange and blue skies, they're literally ready to burst at the seams because of all of the excitement, all of the expectations, and the hope, and dare I even say the promise that the New York Knickerbockers may deliver to their fan base here in the 2025-2026 season. And I understand that it's been a long time coming, as evidence is last year when they beat the Celtics in the second round to go to a conference final for the first time in a quarter century. You would have thought that they won the NBA championship. But as of right this very moment, I'm sure the Knick fan, as high in the sky as they may be, I'm sure it's tempered just a little bit, considering that it has been 53 years since they've won an NBA championship. But the one thing that we could absolutely positively say without any question is that they are almost halfway to a title, or I should say halfway to an appearance in the NBA Finals. Let me get my math corrected there, J Reels. What's going on? Obviously, if they win 2 more games, they'll be just 2 rounds away from winning the whole thing. But they're halfway now, considering that you have to get 12 in order to get to the finals, and they already got 6 wins. As evidenced by what we've seen here over the first 2 games of this conference semifinal, where the Philadelphia 76ers, Monday night, there were no contests for the Knicks, and maybe you want to call that a bit of a hangover based on what happened there Saturday night in Boston, where the Sixers came back from that 3-1 deficit. And I talked about this yesterday on the live stream. I guess I got to rehash it right now. But here it was. They got blown out. I watched the first half, actually coming back from Guatemala where they had a 23-point lead and they went going away winning by 39. And last night, without Joel Embiid, and I know that was going to be a big question mark, because even with Embiid being out from the early part of April to the latter part of the month, where he missed, I guess, what was it, like 17 days, whenever it was, when he came back for Game 4 in the Celtics series, and then dominated to push them to the next round. And then here it was last night with hip and knee issues where Embiid wasn't going to play. So you knew that they were already behind the 8 ball, the Sixers that was, but they played well. Very competitive game. Actually, it was an excellent game. When you think about it, all the lead changes, the ties, you had some big performances there. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey, as well as VJ Edgecombe, and the Sixers, who hung in there and hung tough. But it wasn't until late where who else but Johnny on the spot, Jalen Brunson, came in and saved the day, Captain Clutch, in order to deliver the Knicks a 2-0 series lead in this Eastern Conference semifinal where the Sixers had no answers. And now you're at a point, if you're a Knicks fan, I'm sure you are scrambling around trying to find whatever tickets on the secondary market to drive down the turnpike to Philadelphia tomorrow night to watch the Knicks maybe even take a 3-0 series lead. We don't know the status of Joel Embiid, and I got news for you. I'm sorry. He's got to play in that game tomorrow. Even if he plays 20 minutes. He's got to suit up. This is their season. And for everything that happened, and I talked about this on the channel in a short, even on the live stream yesterday, I get it that the Sixers beating the Celtics in the previous round, that was their NBA final. Because they haven't beaten the Celtics in a million years in the postseason, and especially with Embiid being a part of the team. They lost in 2018. They lost in the bubble. They lost 3 years ago in 2023, and they were on the verge of losing this go-around. But with Embiid and his heroics, as well as Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, and even Paul George in Game 6, they rejoiced. They finally slayed the Celtic Dragon. But now, one series doesn't make an entire postseason. And as evidenced here, they're already down 0-2. And people can say, well, hey, maybe they can come back from 3-1 again. I don't think they're going to do so against this team. Because the Celtics had Nikola Vucevic and Neemias Queta to try to guard the big man, where here you have Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. Light years ahead of what the Celtics were able to provide in order to slow down or even, dare I say, stop Joel Embiid. So now the Knicks and their fan base are going to see if they can invade Philadelphia for the weekend. They'll play tomorrow night at 7, and they'll play Sunday at 3:30, which doesn't bode well for Embiid. I mean, think about it. If he does play tomorrow night, and let's say he plays 28 minutes and makes a contribution, and the Sixers win, well, guess what? Less than 48 hours after that, 3:30 ABC, he's going to have to get back on that court to try to see if they can even get the equalizer, if they even get a win tomorrow night. So this does not bode well for the Sixers. It just doesn't. And with Embiid saying, I hope the Philly fans keep their tickets and don't sell them to the Knicks fans, well, I got news for you. I'm sure the Knicks fans will pay a premium and then some. So even if the face value is $200, I bet you they'll say, I'll give you $500 for those tickets. For one ticket, I might add. And guess what? If you have any sense, or unless you're just dying a little Sixer fan where you would have to literally be dragged out and have your right arm and left leg chopped off in order to give up those tickets, they're going to be like, hey, here they are. Just Venmo me the money first and I'll give you the tickets. And next thing you know, it's going to be Madison Square Garden South. But the bigger picture for the Knicks is this. All right, it's 2-0. They're going to win this series. We don't know if it's going to be the Pistons or Cavaliers waiting. The Pistons have only played one game, and they did beat Cleveland. And I don't trust the Cavaliers. And the Pistons, as we all know, dominated the Knicks in the regular season. But that was then. And I can't even forecast what the conference finals is going to look like right now. I got news for you. If it's Cleveland, they're going to destroy the Cavs without question. Pistons, a little bit different, despite the fact that they only have the one scorer. And I know Tobias Harris has been a godsend for the Pistons here in this postseason. But I would think the Knicks, I won't go as far as saying that they have a red carpet to an NBA final, but they have as good a shot as any of the Knicks teams that I can remember. And this is even dating back to the Ewing Knicks teams of the 90s. Because think about this, even that 93 Knicks team, when they played the Bulls in the conference final, after losing to them in the conference semifinal the year before in 7 games, and had a 2-0 series lead over the Knicks, only to see it slip away. And we all know the Charles Smith Game 5. I'll never forget. I watched that, and it was, that game still sticks in the craw of Knicks fans. And there's still a lot of work to be done. And even if it's the Pistons, remember the Pistons will have the home court, which won't bother the Knicks because they can win on the road. But would you rather play Cleveland knowing that you would have the home court against the Cavs, or have to go on the road to play the Pistons in a conference final? Now, I don't want to get too far ahead as far as, if they play OKC or San Antonio, the likely opponent that whomever's going to come out of the East is going to play. But I have to say, the one side of me says the Knicks are going to get to the finals because of the way they've been playing. They can win the close game. They can win the tough game. Now, they can also blow the close game, and they can blow the big leads. Remember game 1 last year against the Indiana Pacers when they had a 111-94 lead with about 4.5 minutes to go and a 9-point lead with less than, I think 50 seconds to go. Aaron Nesmith making him look like Larry Bird from back in there, or even Steph Curry for that matter. And they lost that game 1, and that doomed them in the series. And we understand that the Knicks shoe right now, the glass slipper's fitting, but we know that there is a potential and possibility that the other shoe could drop, meaning that the ultimate kick in the groin or punch to the gut is coming somewhere down the line. And I think if it's against Cleveland, I can't see that. Pistons could be a different story. But if you're a Knicks fan, you're flying high right now because you've now won 5 in a row here in this playoff, the final 3 in Atlanta, now the first 2 against Philly. If Embiid's not going to play, and I can see he's got to give it a go tomorrow night, but if you could promise that Embiid's going to be there the rest of the series, who knows? Maybe they'll win 2 games, but the Knicks are going to win the series. I'd be shocked if they don't. Come on, all of a sudden Philly's going to win 4 of the next 5? And the uncertainty of Embiid coming back in the lineup? I mean, please. And I know these Sixers played well last night on the road and had a chance there in the fourth quarter, but they fell short. And now you have a situation where the Knicks, their fan base, which I understand the younger Knicks fan, they're just insane. Whether they're doing it for the cameras, whether a lot of these social media sites and people who put out content over here guzzling down beer or saying, chopped cheese over Philly cheesesteaks, whatever it is. And I get it. Like, they don't know what pain is. I understand the last couple of years losing to the Pacers. All right, fine. But prior to that, they have no recollection of the Charles Smith game. They have no recollection of Michael Jordan ripping the hearts out of Knicks fans' chests. They have no recollection of losing to the Pacers in 2000 and the year before getting to a final before losing to San Antonio, or the John Starks 2 for 18, 0 for 11 from 3 in 94 down in the Summit, or those lean years of Larry Brown, Stephon Marbury, even the Carmelo teams, which they had a little bit of success. They won 1 playoff series against the Celtics before losing to Roy Hibbert and the Pacers in the conference semis. And even with Amari Stoudemire coming in there and changing the dynamic of the franchise, but certainly minimal success, that the 25-year-old, they can't even think to experience. They weren't even around to fully grasp of the enormity of the Knicks woes and the futility of this franchise and organization that hasn't won a title in 53 years. And here they are, 2 games away from getting back to a conference final, which I understand James Dolan's going to be smiling broadly. And now that I think about it, I'll get to him in a second with his comment about SGA. where they fired Thibodeau, and I killed that firing, as you know. But now Mike Brown, who a lot of people were questioning even in the Atlanta series in games 2 and 3, and now he's looking like Phil Jackson on the Bulls. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but how about Red Holtzman? Now, I understand Red Holtzman won 2 titles, but you know what I'm saying. So if you're a Knick fan, listen, you got to enjoy the ride, but one game at a time. You can't put the cart before the horse. You can't think. Now, I think you could do so in this series, but you can't automatically think that, oh, start printing up the NBA Finals tickets right now because we're going to the Finals. It's a little premature to say that, but you have as good as an opportunity as anybody. And as for James Dolan, listen, we know how much of a fool he is. There's no surprise there. And I get it that he had this conference call where he was asked about SG&A, which is a business acronym. But he says, oh, I could say something. I can make a joke. What the hell? And he says that, yeah, we're going to do well with SG&A. I got to look that up as to what that acronym is. But then he said, but then also we're going to meet SG&A in the finals and we're going to beat them. Now, we all know James Dolan is a guy that has a lot of bluster when he does speak. He doesn't speak that much. But in a case like that, I'm sure the Oklahoma City fan, if it just so happens to be OKC and the Knicks, they're going to remember that. But that's still a long ways to go. I bring that up now because this could be a fodder for sports talk prior to game 1, if it just so happens to be Knicks in OKC, which I believe would be that first Thursday in June. But one more time, Knick fans, you should be ecstatic. Knick fans, I'm sure you're going to try to go down 95 and invade that arena and drown out the Sixer fans. And that Sixer crowd, I mean, they have good fans there, but they're not the Eagle fan. They're not the Philly fan. They're not even the Flyer fan. And I get to see them go in there and watch there be 5,000 Knicks fans in that building. And I believe it seats about 19,000, maybe close to 20. Those 5,000 are going to sound like 50,000 in that building. And you know that if they happen to blow the Knicks out tomorrow night, all those Knicks fans are going to come down behind the bench or near the entrance to the locker room, and they're just going to be boisterous. They're going to be loud. They're going to be heard from pretty much from Madison Square Garden all the way down to Philadelphia. So we shall see. It's going to be fascinating. I'm going to be on top of that, as you know, heading into the weekend. But the Knicks, like I said, I got to admit, this could be their year. But there's still work to be done, and we'll see where that goes. As far as the rest of the NBA second round, last night you had the Spurs beat the T-Wolves, and that was no contest. Wemby, De'Aaron Fox. We saw what happened there Monday with Anthony Edwards coming back sooner than we thought from that hyperextended knee, and him making a contribution, and Wembanyama with his 12 blocks, but then he made the comment about how he used too much energy on one end and he was tired, etc. Well, he played 40 minutes in the game, and this guy is a guy that's averaging 29. But this series is now even at 1. You wonder whether or not the Spurs, I think they're going to win one of these next 2 in Minnesota. I wouldn't be surprised. I picked them to win in 5. Would I be shocked if they win the next 2? I would not. But Minnesota does have toughness. And they are a team that knows how to win. Now, I get it. Getting to conference finals in back-to-back years doesn't put up a banner in your building. But they have beaten some good teams along the way, maybe aging teams for that matter, whether it was the Phoenix Suns or the LA Lakers in the last couple of years, even the Denver Nuggets, not just this year, but 2 years ago when they beat the reigning defending champs at that time. But I could see the Spurs definitely winning one of the next 2. I could probably see this series going 6 right now, although I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs take the next 3 and you'll see a gentleman's sweep. So that we'll have to wait and see there. And I see the comments adding up. For those who have put comments, just hang tight. I will get to them, I promise. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate your patience too. But to me, that looks like it's going to be the only competitive series from this regard. You already have the Knicks up 2-0. You have the Lakers and Thunder, where the Thunder didn't even play their, not even a B game there 2 nights ago. And Austin Reeves was terrible from the field. So to me, I think that's going to be a quick series. We don't know what's happening with Luka. And I'm going to say this about Luka Doncic, which hasn't really been brought up in a lot of circles. Here was a guy that got torched out the door in Dallas. A trade that they should have never made, as you know. But the reason why they didn't keep him was because he didn't take care of his body. He liked to smoke hookah, drink beer, wasn't in shape, but he was still a top 5 player in the league. So when he gets traded, obviously played the rest of the year in LA, and then the past offseason, he worked out, lost however many pounds, got himself in the best shape possible, but now he's hurt. And it makes you think, no matter what training regimen, no matter what diet, no matter how much he did a 180 on his lifestyle, the guy is still getting hurt with these injuries. So it makes you think whether or not, now I'm not going to sit here to say, oh, Luka's now going back to eating drive-through and pounding away Coors Lights. I don't know that. But it does make you wonder whether or not, is he ever going to stay healthy? Because he's always had these nagging injuries crop up. And in this case, he's been, had to go to Spain to get whatever it was in order for him to try to get him back on the court. And please, you don't even know whether or not he's going to get back on the court at any point. Maybe when the series shifts to LA, I don't know. But that series is going to be a done deal. There's no way OKC is going to lose that series. And then Detroit and Cleveland. Now, I can see Detroit winning tonight, and then Cleveland win their games in Cleveland, and it's going to be one of those home court series that we saw in the previous round with Toronto and Cleveland. Although I could see the Pistons win a game in Cleveland, whether that means 3, 4, or 6. But I don't see that being a fascinating or intriguing series to where, oh, now it's going to be a best of 3. What's going to happen? I don't see it. So the drama that you got in the first round in the NBA, despite there being a ton of blowouts, you had 3 Game 7s, which was great. You also had a Game 6 with Denver and Minnesota. But this round could potentially end up being a dud. Now, think about it. After tonight, you may have 3 series that are 2-0. And I get it. It's not a series until the road team wins, as you saw with Minnesota there a couple of nights ago, winning Game 1. But like I said, would you be shocked if they go back to San Antonio with the Spurs up 3-1? I wouldn't. I'd be more shocked if it's Minnesota up 3-1 going to San Antonio. But I could see maybe a split. I could see Minnesota winning one of these next 2, so it'll go 6. But if you have this second round to where you have one series go 6 games and the others go 5, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I could see that for maybe 2 of the series. One for sure will be OKC. I could see that being a 5-game series, no more than that. Knicks, could it go to 6? It could, just like it did a couple of years ago in the first round, but we'll see. And then Detroit and Cleveland, I could see that at least going 6. But is there going to be any drama? Is it going to be 2-0 and then Cleveland wins the 2 games and Detroit wins Game 5 at home before closing it out in Cleveland, winning Game 6? I mean, I can see that. But that's your NBA. Really led by the Knicks because of their long drought. And the fan base is beyond geeked up. Young fans are overboard, but all right. And let's see how this is going to play out, as I'm looking forward to seeing how this is all going to shake down here over the course of these next couple of weeks or so. I'm sure a lot of people are probably thinking about my Celtic takes. Again, go to the archives yesterday, the live stream. I talked everything about the Celtics. I know the recent thing now, Jaylen Brown came out and says he wants to be a Celtic here long term. All right, fine. You're already starting to hear the rumors. Maybe Giannis coming to Boston for Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown, who could get an extension where he could get 4 years, $280 million. That we'll have to wait and see. But if you want to get my full overview as I put an epitaph on the Celtic season, just go back to yesterday's live stream and you can hear that for your edification. All right, now I'm going to lace up the skates, take a trip around the ice. And it's interesting because the NHL is almost taking the same page as the NBA second round. Because you have the two favorites in each conference, Carolina in the East, Colorado out West, where they both have 2-0 series leads. I know the Flyers had a good chance to get the equalizer in game 2. They did not. They lose in overtime. You have the Avalanche, who won a wild game 1, 9-6. They were down 5-4. I believe it was in the second period, and then they just took over from there. And then they went 5-2 a couple of nights ago. So you would think that they're going to be home free. Maybe the Flyers and Wild win a game. Maybe the Wild win 2. But I would think Colorado and Carolina will advance to a conference final. It's the other two series that we got to think. And last night, you had game 1 between Montreal and Buffalo, where the Sabres finally scored on the power play. They've been awful throughout the postseason. They were 1 for 24 against the Bruins, and I believe they concluded the regular season 0 for 20. So they've been in a drought unlike any other. And last night, they got a couple of goals there on the power play, led from in front pretty much throughout. Montreal, their goaltender had no answers for the Sabre onrush, and especially when you have a situation where you get a couple of goals in the special teams. I picked Montreal to win the series. I'm rooting for them. I'd like to see an original 6, and I'm sure if Gary Bettman had any truth serum, he would say, give me a Montreal-Colorado final right now. An original 6, and the Yankees of the sport going up against Colorado was the best team in the sport all year. But I think the Canadiens will be heard from. They'll have to win game 2, though. That's important because as an underdog, you got to win. I talk about the odd number games as well, but you want to have a split. You don't want to go back home down 0-2 because if you lose a game on home ice, then chances are you're not going to win the series. But for the Sabres, who first time in the playoffs in a decade and a half, beat the Bruins in 6, although had the series extended, considering that they could have won game 5 in their building, and now they're up 1-0 in that series. And then the other series last night with Anaheim showing a little defense there, where the Ducks only allow 1 goal. Vegas doesn't have an answer for what Anaheim has been able to do. And for the Ducks to get the equalizer in the series and take it home, listen, just like they did with Edmonton, it's anybody's series. And there's a part of me that's rooting for the Ducks. You'd like to see that team go a little far. They have not been relevant in quite some time. They did win a Stanley Cup back now, 19 years ago when they beat Ottawa in a rather forgetful Stanley Cup final. But for Vegas, they do have some grit. They do have some toughness. That team won a cup 3 years ago, as you know. And most of the big-time players are there, the Mark Stones of the world, guys like that. But for Anaheim, how I look at it is that I think that they could be that team. I don't want to say of destiny, it's a little strong, but they could be a team that could surprise people. Now, they're more known to win 5-4 type games than 3-1. And they've done a tremendous job here in this postseason so far. They beat Edmonton, as you know, and now they're able to get a split. And you have that kid, Bennett Seneke, who's going to be up for the Calder Trophy with Matthew Schaefer, who should win it. I mean, there needs to be an investigation. If that's the case, I understand I'm biased toward that as an Islander fan. But how I look at it is that I think Anaheim, they're going to be a tough out here. So that could be like the Minnesota-San Antonio series for the NHL because that's 1-1. And the other series could be 2-0 before you know it, especially if Buffalo gets the second game there tomorrow night. So you only hope that you could get some length out of these series. I don't think you're going to get so with Carolina or with Colorado. Anaheim, I think that could be minimum 6. Maybe gets pushed to a 7th game. And if Montreal shows up and gets an equalizer, who knows? Now, Buffalo can run the table, win the next 3 after that. I get it. But you want to see length. You want to see some depth in this in these series. You don't want it to be a thing where it's over in 5 or in a comfortable 6 games. Yeah, you don't want to see that. And when I say comfortable 6, that means the team is up 3-1, and they may lose a game 5 in their building before closing it out in a game 6. So that is your NHL. I mean, I wish there was more to add. Who knows? We'll see what's going to happen here over the course of these next few days before we get to the podcast on Monday. And now that I think about it, let me get to the schedule. I didn't do the NBA schedule, which you pretty much know what it is, considering who played last night and who's going to play tonight throughout the weekend. But to make it official, tonight you only have the one game because Minnesota, Colorado, who played Tuesday, they're not going to play till Saturday. So you're going to have game 3 in Philly tonight and a lot of that has to do with the Sixers and the Flyers having to play here because let's just say for argument's sake, where they could have played, let me just pull this up here real quick. They staggered the Montreal Buffalo series because they couldn't play Carolina, Philadelphia yesterday, which if the Sixers were out of the playoffs, they would have played them last night. But because the Sixers are still alive, they had to move Carolina, Philadelphia to tonight, and that's the only game going. And they're also going to play Saturday at 6, sandwiched in between games 3 and 4 on Knicks, Philadelphia. So that's why they had to extend that series an extra day and put Montreal, Buffalo instead of Tuesday night. They played them last night. That game is on TNT tonight, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, Montreal, Buffalo, 7. Vegas at Anaheim, 9:30, which I like because if that was in Vegas, you could see that being 9:30, although they are 3 hours behind. But it's not a 7:30 and 10, which would make sense because Anaheim, 10 o'clock, which would be 7 o'clock local. But they're going to start that at 6:30, maybe because it's a Friday. I like that because you want to have the game relatively done a little bit after midnight. I understand it's Friday. You can stay up and watch, but that was good that the schedule makers did that. And then Saturday, Carolina, Philly at 6, Colorado, Minnesota at 9. All those games are on TNT. And then Sunday, Buffalo at Montreal, game 3 at 7, followed by Vegas, Anaheim, 9:30 on ESPN. And as far as the NBA goes, your schedule is as follows. Tonight, your first game will be Detroit hosting Cleveland, followed by Lakers at OKC, 7 and 9:30, both on Prime Video. Tomorrow night, the same deal, 7 and 9:30 on Prime, Knicks in Philadelphia, San Antonio, Minnesota. Saturday, 3 o'clock, Detroit at Cleveland, NBC, followed by OKC at the Lakers at 8:30. That game should have been at 5. Game should have been at 5. Why 3 o'clock? Then you have, as I mentioned, Knicks in Philadelphia, 3:30 ABC, followed by San Antonio, Minnesota, NBC at 7:30. So those are your playoff matchups in the NHL and NBA. Now, as I turn my attention, I know the comments are there. Please, people, keep hanging in there. When I get to the top of the next hour, I will get into all the comments. I'll break it all down, I promise, as it is 11:33 a.m. here on the East Coast. Now, I'm going to get to the baseball as I get into the batter's box. And really the only story in baseball right now, and I know you got some teams that have some winning streaks. I know you got teams that have been playing very good. As I pull up the MLB here, we'll get to the standings and all that in a minute. But I know we're 6 weeks into the baseball season. And I know there's still a ton of baseball to be played. But that American League right now, you have to avert your eyes. It is an abomination how the American League has performed here. And you've had a lot of teams underachieve. The Mariners. I won't say the Astros. I won't go as far as saying that. The Tigers, who now without Tarek Skubal for the next 3 months, not Tommy John. He's going to have to get those loose particles out of his elbow or bone chips, where similar to Edwin Diaz there, the closer of the Dodgers, where he'll be back around the All-Star break. Well, now you're not going to see Skubal until probably about the middle of August. But here's the thing. That American League Central is so bad that you don't even have a team over 500, that those teams are going to battle it out to see who's going to come out of that division as the winner and will clinch a postseason spot. So even with Skubal out and Framber Valdez, who got a 5-game suspension, who hit Trevor Story after giving up 2 home runs, And he could talk about, I wasn't trying to hit story. That was the last thing I was trying to do. Nonsense. Based on his track record and his history, crossing up his own catcher last year, I'm not buying it. But for that AL, count them. You have two teams that are over 500. And they play in the same division. And the crazy thing is, as great as the Yankees have been here over the last 18 games, so where their record is 15-3, do you know that they're tied in the loss with the Tampa Bay Rays? Tied in the loss. Yankees are 25-12. The Rays are 24-12. And they've actually won 6 in a row. And remember, the Rays swept the Yankees down in Tampa last month. And that was when they were in the midst of that losing streak before they came back home and they lost to the Angels. Well, they split the series, but they actually could have lost 9 in a row when you think about it. If it wasn't for Jordan Romano, the closer, who spit the bit in the 9th inning in both of the losses for the Angels during that homestand where Mike Trout hit 5 homers. Homestand for the Yankees, that is. But that's all you got. The two teams that are in the same division, a half game behind one another, those are the only teams that are above 500. Everyone else is either 500 or below. Orioles, 17-20. Blue Jays, 16-21. Red Sox, the same record. Guardians, 19-19. I said the Tigers. I was wrong. Tigers, who got swept by the Red Sox just now, they are 18-20. White Sox and Royals, 17-20. Twins, 16-21. The Athletics at 500. Mariners, 18-20. Rangers, 2 games under. Astros and Anaheim Angels, 8 games under. And right now, if you had to even take a team that's going to come out of the AL, and one more time, you still have 5 months of baseball left. A little bit less than that. Obviously, all June, July, August, September. But we're only on what? May 7th. So this isn't a situation where we're in August and all these teams are on the 500 and it's like, oh, geez, the Yankees are going to roller skate to a World Series. Right now it's looking that way, but things could change. And we all know the Yankees have played nobody. I get it, they got swept by the Rays, but they had played absolute no one. Swept the Royals, swept the Red Sox, beat up on the Orioles, swept them 4 games this past weekend. They beat the Rangers 2 out of 3 last week. They split the first 2 games with them this week, and I believe they'll close out their series today with an afternoon game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. Yes, that's right. 12:35, just another less than an hour from now. But that AL is beyond brutal. Please, I picked the Red Sox as an over this year, 87.5. How's that going? Seattle, I picked to go to the World Series, which, could still happen. 2 games under. I mean, Now, listen, the National League, the NL Central is over 500. And then you have Colorado and San Francisco under 500 there in the West, where the AL East, other than the Braves, everybody else is under 500. Now, the Mets, they won another series, which means back-to-back winning series. They won over the weekend, as you know, in Anaheim, and they won the first 2 games against Colorado before they go to Arizona for the weekend. But the NL East is putrid, and everybody thought that was going to be a powerhouse between Atlanta, Philly, New York, and a respectable Marlin team where the Nationals are still slowly but surely on the come-up. Yeah, that's been deplorable. And the Reds, who seemed like 5 minutes ago they were in first place, and now they've lost 6 straight games. They're in last place, where the Cubs, who have now won 8 in a row, they're in first place by 3 games. And when you think about records, Braves 26-12, Yankees 25-12, Cubs 25-12, and the Rays 24-12. And how the Rays do it, I don't know. I mean, the only guy I could pick out of their lineup is Junior Caminero. I have to think long and hard. I mean, they traded a lot of Brandon Lau. They traded him to Pittsburgh. Obviously, a very good hitter. And even their rotation. I don't know. Again, smoke and mirrors maybe. But here's the thing with the Rays. I've said this going back 4 or 5 years ago on the podcast. That team is more built for the regular season than they are for October. That's all there is to it. Because they don't have a ton of power. They start a lot of games with openers. They don't have dominant starting pitching. And in fact, let me pull up their stats. Let me see how their pitchers have done. Yeah, Jonathan Aranda's been a good player. Yandy Diaz has been there forever. I mean, here it is. You got guys like Steven Matz. Remember him, Met fans? Has 4 wins. Drew Rasmussen, a very good pitcher. Nick Martinez leads an ERA. They're 1.71. And he's 3-1 on the year. Steven Matz is 4-1. He's been rejuvenated. Drew Rasmussen. Shane McClanahan, who had Tommy John, 4-2. You know, and they're always going to have a good bullpen because it's not as if they're going to pay a lot for a guy that's going to come out of the bullpen. To me, they want to 5-6 innings with the starters and then throw the bullpen where they're going to throw 1,000,000 miles an hour and try to get you out that way. And kudos. And yes, like I mentioned, the Yandy Diaz's of the world. We know about Junior Caminero, has 9 homers. Jonathan Aranda, who is a very useful player. Chandler Simpson, who's a leadoff guy. A lot of speed. I mean, I don't even know what more to tell you. The Rays, 24-12. Obviously, they've been the biggest surprise in baseball here in these first 6 weeks. But besides that, I mean, I got not much else to tell you, people. You know, you can't get independent races now. It's way too early. Yeah, we could talk about disappointing teams that haven't played well. Talk about the Mariners, Phillies, Mets, as we know. I mean, we've been down this road before. I wish there was more to add. But let me see. Is there? We know about Valdez. He's going to get suspended 5 games. Big whoop. Let's see. Yeah, Paul Skeens. Shout out the Diamondbacks. No, he didn't get the complete game shutout. He only pitched 8 innings. Yeah, Carlos Correa, he's out for the year with ankle surgery. And they're 15-23. Yeah, I got not much else to tell you, people, baseball-wise. Now, as far as the schedule for the remainder of the week and into the weekend, you got games closing out today. Texas at the Yankees, as you know. Minnesota, Washington, Chicago, Cincinnati. Is that a 4-gamer? Like sometimes that could be a 4-gamer. Cincinnati, Chicago. No, it is not. St. Louis, San Diego, Tampa, Boston, Baltimore, Miami, Athletics in Philly, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Mets in Colorado. Let's see if Kristen Scott could get his first major league victory. How about that? Against Jose Quintana, the former Met. Cleveland, Kansas City. And then your weekend matchups. Apple TV, Minnesota, Cleveland, St. Louis, San Diego. That's a 4-gamer right there because I mentioned that there. They open up that series tonight. Games of note. Tampa at Boston. Yanks in Milwaukee. Seattle, Chicago White Sox. Cubs in Texas. Pittsburgh, San Francisco. Atlanta at LA. There you go. There's your series of the weekend. Right there. Let's see where the Braves stack up against the Dodgers. And listen, the Dodgers are going through the motions. I mean, they're still in first place, half a game. What are they? 22-14, I believe, or 23-14 now. And listen, whatever that number was, I think it was 105.5. I think that number was in Vegas. They'll probably win between 95 and 103 games. But as we all know, when it comes to the Dodgers, it's about October. Same for the Yankees, for that matter. But yeah, that's your baseball, people. I got nothing else to add there. And then finally, let me get to the NFL as I lace up or put on the shoulder pads and helmet. And I see all the comments there. So this will be my last segment. I won't talk about the PGA tournament, which is a week from today. And I don't like the PGA so soon. French Open the following Monday. I know you have a UFC fight on Saturday with Chimaev and Sean Strickland. I don't know. Is that on anybody's radar? Who knows? I'll talk about that maybe on Monday's podcast. We'll see. But to close out the NFL, the Shield. I know I touched on this yesterday. And I'm going to sound like a broken record if you watch the live stream. But the schedule release, the date usually, well, let's go back to last year. It was the second Wednesday of May. Second Wednesday of May is forthcoming, 6 days from now. And I know there's a lot of people that look at that day, it's almost like a holiday. And that never was the case. Because you're interested to see what the games are opening week. We know that the Seahawks are going to host the first game on a Wednesday because the following night you're going to have Rams-Niners in Australia. I don't know if you're going to have a Friday game because it's actually late this year with schools opening and I guess the high school football season because there's a law you can't have the NFL play on Fridays. So, all right, fine there. But everybody's going to want to know what the 4:25 game is on the opening weekend, the Sunday night and the Monday night game. If it's going to be a doubleheader, I'm sure there will be. But here it is as we set the table for the schedule release. Now, we don't know the exact date yet. And I've done some research to find out when are they going to release the schedule. It's possible that they can release it anywhere between the 11th and 13th of next week or the following week from the 18th to the 20th. So I said, well, why are they going to postpone another week? Why can't they just have it the second Wednesday or Thursday for that matter? Because in the past they've had it on that Thursday. But why would they delay it a week? Is the suspense that much? Do they want to leak the schedule a week prior? Who knows with the NFL? Because they got to swallow up all the headlines. Well, word on the street is that the NFL has 5 games that not even the networks, the streaming platforms are trying to see if they could gobble up. Now, the problem with that is that some of the games or one of the games could involve that Niner Ram game in Australia because NBC's going to have the first game. And even if they have Peacock, that means they got to fly people to the other side of the world, equipment trucks and a zillion people. And that's obviously going to be an enormous expense where who knows? The Amazon Primes, you would think it'd be Prime considering that they have the predominantly the Thursday night schedule. But that hasn't been etched in stone, I believe, as from what I heard as of right this very moment. So, like I mentioned, there's 5 games that the NFL has out there that the streaming platforms, I guess, are going to be in a battle royale. The Amazons, the Netflixes, the Peacocks, I guess Peacock, to fight out. Those 5 games are the following. That opening Thursday night game in Australia. The Thanksgiving Eve game. Remember that? We talked about that about a month or so ago. That is still up for grabs. I also heard that Black Friday not only has that 3 o'clock game, but they're looking to put another game on Black Friday. So those are 2 games right there, which I understand have been on Amazon Prime, but now it's almost like, all right, to the highest bidder. NFL, as if they don't have enough money. And then the last game is Christmas Eve, which is on a Thursday night because they're going to put games on Friday, Christmas Day, to, of course, upset the apple cart of the NBA. And I don't know if they're going to do 2 games, 3 games. I know last year they did. Didn't they do 3 games last year? Yeah, they did 3 last year, and they did 2 the year before on Netflix because that was Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston. So they only did the 2 games. I think last year they did 3, if I'm not mistaken. But now that the NFL is going to invade Christmas Day, they want to put a Christmas Eve game for, I guess it'd be Amazon, you would think, right? I mean, seriously, is this why we got to stagger the schedule? That hasn't been etched in stone by now? I mean, it's a joke what the NFL does. And I've said this yesterday on the live stream. I'm going to say it one more time. They might as well, Thanksgiving week, other than Saturday, because that's college football, they might as well put a game every week or a game every day that week where they're going to play the Sunday before Thanksgiving, the Monday night game. Hey, let's have a Thanksgiving Eve game. Why not? Thanksgiving Eve, the 3 games on Thanksgiving, the 2 games on Black Friday, and then you have the Sunday slate, which is going to be scraps. Because think about it. If they're going to feed all these mouths, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the 3 games on Thanksgiving, the 2 on Black Friday, that's 6 games right there. That's not including the Sunday night game, 7, the Monday night game, 8, the 4:25 game that Sunday, which that's got to be a marquee game. So the remaining 7 games are going to be literally probably the Arizona at Atlanta or New Orleans at Tennessee. Now, I don't know if that conference they were going to play against one another. I don't think so. I think they played last year. But you're going to get scraps, man. You're going to get nothing because they got to put up a decent game, even if it's trying to think of some teams. I'm not in NFL mode right now. Yeah, even if you're going to put, let's say, Bengals Chargers, at least you'll Burrow versus Justin Herbert. Let's say that's the Thanksgiving Eve game. Then you have the Lions at 12:30, the Cowboys at 4:15. You know they got to have a marquee matchup there on Thanksgiving night. I'm sure they're going to put a decent team, whether it be, let's say, Minnesota at Detroit or whomever the AFC team will go to Dallas. Last year, you had Kansas City at Dallas, so I would think you have an AFC team going to Detroit this year, whomever that team may be, but you know it's going to be a decent team. It's not going to be Tennessee. And then Dallas, they're probably going to host what? You're going to see another Washington. Maybe if Jaden Daniels has a better year this year, you may see them on Thanksgiving. You may see the Eagles. We've seen them on Thanksgiving. You may see the Packers. Who knows? And then you have the night game and then the Black Friday games. You got to have decent matchups there. That could be, I could see Chicago hosting a game. Remember, Chicago played in Philadelphia last year. You may have an AFC game and an NFC game. So the AFC game, you think Mahomes will be back by then. That could be the Chiefs, maybe hosting the Broncos or the Raiders because you're going to want to see Fernando Mendoza there. And then you're going to get to Sunday, you're going to have nothing. 0. But that's the NFL. They want to jam these games down your throat. They want to literally suck all the oxygen out of the room. The old saying, less is more. We don't need to watch more games. And I get it. The 16 to 30-year-old, they can't get enough of the NFL. That's not to say I can't, but you know what? When is enough enough? Could you imagine? Hey, honey, I can't prepare the turkey right now because I got to watch Bengals Chargers. What about Thanksgiving, hon? Oh, well, yeah, there's 3 games on Thanksgiving, so that's going to be difficult too. Black Friday, I know a lot of people shop at home, but oh, yeah, there's a game at 3 and it's 6, so I got to watch that because I got my fantasy team I got to look at. I mean, come on. Any chance to pound the NFL, but they do it to themselves. I don't want to pound them. I don't want to get on them, but they do it to themselves. Have the schedule released next Tuesday or next Wednesday, and that's it. And watch it be next Wednesday, fine. But we're going to see where these games end up. You know I'm going to dissect it, break it down, etc. Not the entire schedule, but just where those games are, and we'll see where it goes. All right, let's get to the comments. What do we got here? I don't know if they're still with us. Midas. Hello. I know it was a long time ago, 11:05. Not that long. Nikki, what's happening? J-Rod, greetings. I'm trying to, what's that? There we go. I'm trying to read your lips, fishing angel still sleeping. Eee. No headphones? She's probably up by now, I would think. Hawks. Knick fans found a loophole. They ain't Philly. Yeah. And with no Embiid either. Val. Thank you, Val. Thank you. Bio. J-Reels, you would know better than anyone. How big would it be for the city of New York for the Knicks to win a chip? Oh, no. The city would probably burn down. Without question. Now, I'm saying that sarcastically. No, if the Knicks win, that parade would be enormous. Now, you could argue whether or not it would be bigger than the Jets winning a Super Bowl. Because the Jets have been just as tortured, if not worse, than a Knicks fan. But because they're in Jersey, and when the Giants won their Super Bowls, they had it up the Canyon of Heroes in lower Manhattan. So I would think they have the Jets, they have to do the same. That parade would be huge. But the Knicks fan, because, yeah, the Knicks, when you think of the Garden and you think of an original team dating back to 46, 47. Yeah, the city would be bonkers. Yeah, it'd be nuts. Would it be many people as the Yankees? I think it would, because the Yankees have had a ton of parades. Now, I haven't had one in 17 years, but yeah, because that 96 parade, I remember, was huge. 98. Yeah, 99, 2000, I could care less. I say 96 because I hadn't won in 18 years, from 78 to 96. And then 98 was huge because they were 125 and 50, regular season and postseason included, and arguably the greatest team of all time. And then you have 99 and 2000. Obviously the dynasty, but at that point, yeah, it'd be bigger than the Yankees. I think it would. And the Yankee fan may say, oh, nope. Come on, Knicks, they haven't won 53 years. But that's not going to happen. Knicks getting right by the Pistons. I hope so. Hello, by the way, yes. All right, here we go. What we got here? Yeah, it'd be nice, man. Yeah, I know, considering that Fishing Angel hasn't been to Detroit, that'd be awesome. They don't know about the back cover of the Daily News or New York Post after every season. Yes. And the novice knows. Listen, the novice, and you probably already wrote this, how big, if the Knicks won the championship, forget about it. This city, geez, I don't even know. Well, Lakers win any games this playoff series against Thunder. Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll win one. And then what was this? I am not Bob, but no Luka equals no wins. I know. I guess that's some Warrior true blood that's whatchamacallit, coming out of Val's mouth or Val's comments. How far is the drive from New York to Philadelphia? It is, on a good day, you could do it hour and 45 minutes, hour and 40 minutes. In fact, when I went to Citizens Bank 2014, I don't know, it's been that long since I've been. I remember we left at 12:53. No, 12:52, because I wanted to time it, not much traffic on the road. We left at 12:52, and I got into the Bronx at 2:18. So I was speeding. Do the math. What is that? An hour and 26 minutes? So, yeah, if there's no traffic, you could probably do an hour and a half. If there is traffic, or if it's not too bad, you could do an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, I think it's 90 miles. And I love it. I haven't been to Philly. Well, that's a lie, because I was in Philly in this winter, December, I think. No. Yeah, shout out to Kelly, who lives down in South Jersey on the other side of the bridge, South Jersey towards Philly. And I may be going to Philly sometime soon. Yeah, I like Philly. Philly's a good town. Downtown area, Liberty Bell, all that. So, yeah, and that's why all the Knicks fans are going to invade that sucker come tomorrow night. Jandu's going to display talents up and down the court. Yeah. I hope so. Oh, there it is. SG&A company overhead, cost to operate. Yep. Way to go, Donavis. Way to pick that up. Yeah, Jalen Duren, he's going to be big in that series. He's going to have to really come out and do a number on the Knicks. Bio Google says hour and 43 minutes. Yep. Go one there. I said hour 40. J-Rod on top of it. I love it. Bio, it's less than 3-hour drive from New York. Yep. That's not bad at all. I see why Knicks fans invade. Yes. And the same, when the Mets are good, they go to Philadelphia. You see a lot of Philly fans in New York, especially if they play in a weekend series. Giants, Philly. Yeah, the thing is that all the Eagle fans, they don't want Giant fans invading that building. So I seen the funniest cartoon about SGA yesterday. It was wrapped in bubble wrap. And every time he got such a rip keeps. Oh, yeah. That's SGA. I hate to say it. Mark and Ziggy Wolf on the passing of Joe Sensor. Oh, hold on a second. Let me look at that. Now, of course, take a load. Yeah, and I know. It's funny. Maybe I'll bring this up now until it's official. But the novice during the podcast pregame mentioned that Rodgers likely to play for the Steelers in 26, which is no surprise. And until it's official, I'll make a comment about it. But, I mean, really. All right, let's see. Back to your guys' comments. All right, it's almost 11:30. I think I'm going to wait for Fishing Angel. Now, wish me luck. All right. Now, that was a half hour ago, so wish me luck. Did you see raid signs with the dead? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was weird. I didn't understand that at first. I'm like, what the hell? But, of course, for Ant-Man. Yeah, in San Antonio. Yeah, in San Antonio, it's not really a fan base that would do something like that. So I found that pretty surprising. And I said, yeah, no, it is. I would never expect it in a million years. Yeah, Framber, yeah, he's off his rocker. Fishing Angel! Greetings. Byron, 6-game suspension. No, it's 5. So he's going to miss a start. Big whoop. That's all right, Fishing Angel. Snoring that. So obviously you didn't get to sleep, but I know you had your chocolate milk yesterday. How much have you gone through that? I'm curious. All right, I didn't even get my morning kiss before she turned on J Reels. What are you doing? Hey, I'm innocent. I've done nothing. And I know you're kidding, Jay. It's all good. Fishing game, J-Rod, Tigers, Pistons. Yes, they are. Tried and true. Yeah, why is my mouse? It's not really working that well today. That's what we are here. Yes, absolutely. Val, Mets are better than my Giants. That's the news. Yeah, for right now. Not saying a lot, though. Yes, everybody's showing their love, saying hi. Tyron. Yeah, New York since 1973 when they beat the Lakers. That's right, 16. Happy early birthday to your son. That's awesome. Yep, Braves Dodgers, big series this weekend. I think it's bigger for the Braves than the Dodgers, if you ask me. Now, I understand they're on the road, but if they win 2 out of 3, that'd be a big accomplishment for them. How can you pay for a streaming service? And look at you like, oh, yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, that I can't stand. And I think they're trying to regulate that where you're not getting the blackouts anymore, but still, it just doesn't make any sense. All right, here we go. No offense. Butter or boobs guy? Me, I'm more of a butt guy if you want, just to answer that question. Not there's anything wrong with boobs, but that's funny. Have you taught your son how to drive yet? Oh, that's right. I'm sure he's probably got his license, no? I have not this summer, though. We live in the right place for him to take on a road. No, that's good. No, not yet. I'm too scared for that because our son has a lead foot. Yeah, that's me. I have a lead foot, too, so. Bio, Fishing Angel. All right, what is this? No one ever told me to drive. I learned from cutting the grass, riding lawnmower. Oh, there you go. That's a good way to learn, right? On the tractor. Yeah, wow. How do you guys feel about that? Wow, what's the tattoo already? About 100% a few trips to the go-kart track before I started choosing. There you go. Yeah, I didn't start driving until late either. Living in New York, I was like, I take the train. I got my license at 25. I wasn't one of those in high school. Ooh, I got to get my license. What's this? No, I went. Yeah, but the thing is, Fishing, you don't drive though, right? Do you still have your permit or did it expire? Well, I forgot I had the permit for too long. Right. Okay. So I got, hold on. Do the test. Okay. Gotcha. Fishing has been 100%. Didn't she say that not too long ago? That she hadn't been to Detroit? Oh, hopefully you guys get to go for game 5. Honestly, I don't like trucks. Cars are too small. Let me think. Yeah, I've driven a truck. I've driven a Jeep. I prefer just driving a car. Yeah, I feel like even though they're like too big, I don't know. Yeah, and the way people drive, yeah, I hear that, especially here in New York. Like I've said in the past, I love my wife with everything I have, but if you have to ask her for directions, you're in trouble. Directions are not her strong point. He's absolutely right. I get confused. Yeah, I'm more of a guy that I like to know where I'm going, directions. Follow tonight's game, Yankees. Option O, the reliever. Here, De Los Santos. Okay. Thanks for that, Val. I ask, where do you want to go? The answer I get every time is the place room before. No, that's the directions you get. That's funny. Warriors has suspended 8 teams to per. Oh, was it really? Ah, interesting. Haven't opened one yet? Okay. Cover Girl. What's up, Cover Girl? Welcome. I appreciate you stopping by. Philly will get swept. I guess I take it you're a big Knick fan. Cover Girl, are you from New York? I'm curious. I'm with you. Ask me myself. Oh, all right, Jay. Okay. I hear you. I'm cool with it. At 13, I want more. Right. I told him 18. How do you feel, Jay, about your kid? I guess you're probably cool with it too. Cars, I feel like I'm going to get swished like a bug. Ah, I hear you. So you want to have just a sense of that big vehicle driving. That's cool. I get it. Nothing wrong with that. I'm John 16. I have a crazy sense to right. Yeah, no, the same here. Yeah, because I've always been one that if I'm driving or going somewhere, like obviously when I was in, mind you, small town, but when I was in Guatemala last week, you know, I had to look for like a certain, whether like church or a plaza. I'd be like, oh, I know we're nearby a hotel. Because, yeah, the last thing I want to do is get lost. I don't want to be out here like, oh my God, where am I going? And I'm on my phone looking and yeah, nonsense. I don't have to deal with that. Wait, hold on. All right, that was the last comment there. All right, let me see. What else we got sports-wise? Yeah, I'm reading this thing about Rodgers now. With Rodgers remaining unsigned in free agency, Steelers applied to rarely used UFA 10 AM, $15 million. 43 years of age. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Let's see. Center as voice of French Open prize protests. All right. What else we got here? J-Rod. Oh, his body, his choice. He'll be an adult. I mean, he's not getting a face tattoo or anything. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that we don't want. Yeah, no face tattoos. I hear you with that. My husband has taught me how to drive too. Nah, no hate here. Not at all. But no, you know, hey, you'd rather have your husband drive, especially if you don't have to. That was H2O, people. But yeah, that's what's happening sports-wise. Yeah, I want to make a couple of quick notes too. Tomorrow, the latest video is coming out on the channel. I just about finished editing it. I got to put up a thumbnail. I've stepped up my thumbnail game, which looks a whole hell of a lot better because the thumbnails I was doing was just quick through Instagram, which obviously, you know, I listen in a pinch. It's great, but it was becoming, let's just say, amateur night, and it's time to step it up. So I have stepped it up recently. But the new video tomorrow, I'll be out at Citi Field next week to interview some people. And Bio, you're right. When the Dodgers come to town, more so when they come to Yankee Stadium. I could do Citi Field too, I guess. But more when they come to Yankee Stadium, not only because I'm closer, but I want the Dodger fans to kind of laugh at the Yankee fans, which would be great. And hopefully they sweep the Yankees that weekend. But, yeah, I will have that. And I'm also next week, probably Friday, but there's another video I want to do. I may do back-to-back because there is a video that I want to post next Thursday because it's an anniversary of this, what I call the last best bench clearing brawl in NHL history. So, yeah, I'm going to do a little, how can I say, a feature on that. So, yeah, you got a lot coming, man, here on the channel. just trying to bigger and better. Just trying to elevate it. The channel, the visibility, all that. And I know there's a lot of work. And you guys obviously have been my ride or dies. You know how much I appreciate you. I thank you guys. But yeah, you got a lot of stuff coming down the pike. And even when I go on the street, maybe not next week at Citi Field, but I want to get into Manhattan. I want to do live streams there of that stuff. So I could just debate with people. You see me debating with people on the street just out of the blue. And away we go. So let's see. Val, of course, I'm the sports of the in person. Yes. Yes, you are. Oh, here we go. 111-35 for game 2 tonight. All right. I can see that. Fishing Angel, thank you. Appreciate you. You know that. Yeah, that's what I got. That'll do it. Unless there's anything else you want me to talk about, any questions, comments, etc., please feel free to ask now. And away we go. Let me see. Yeah, I got to do that too. Yeah, I'm over here just looking at stuff to enhance the channel. Yeah, also another thing too, come to think of it. Yeah, let me see. I haven't heard anything from House of Highlights. I think I talked about that last time. Because remember, I went there 2 weeks ago. They're supposed to send me an email. I haven't checked my email even going back to yesterday. So let me see whether or not they've posted anything. I'm going to say no. Yeah, it's Clash House of... Oh, hang on. No, that's 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. I want you guys to see that. Hopefully that could increase the exposure of yours truly. Oh, Clash. There we go. No, nothing yet. Oh, yeah, Kenny Beecham there. I have to watch that. When was that? Oh, it just came out. 4 NBA experts versus NBA culture trivia. Yeah, that came out yesterday. Yeah, no, nothing yet. I'll keep you guys posted. You already know. What is this? Happy birthday. Yes. He will be 11 tomorrow. Crazy. I remember when he was first born. I remember going down there to see him for his first birthday. He came up here for his second birthday. I mean, the time just flies. Wait, what is this? Val? Oh, no, J-Rod. Val, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yes. Awesome. Good to hear that. Richard Angel, as well as Val B, of course. So wait, what was I saying here? I just No, I think that's it, people. Yes, thank you, sir. Reach out to him tomorrow. See what's going on with him. Thank you, Val. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I think I'm going to get ready to sign off. If there isn't anything else that is on your guys' mind, you already know the drill. Next pod on Monday. Oh, now that I think about this, there is a possibility in the weeks to come that I may do my live stream at night and maybe on a Tuesday. Obviously, you'll get a heads up prior to that. Have it more in the evening, hopefully generate more people to come on board. And yeah, I hope to find out because I want one of my guests that I want to get on, it may be in the evening, so therefore I'll do a live stream for that. But I do want to do more live streams at night. I love the 12 o'clock. I don't have a problem with that, or maybe I should just do an extra one. I'll do a Tuesday, I'll do a Wednesday. That's me 4 days. Jeez. And then the weekend. But now we'll see. But, oh, here it is. That would be fun. Thank you, J-Rod. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on that because if I do it, it would be podcast Monday, live stream Tuesday night, no live stream Wednesday if it does get to that, and then the podcast Thursday. Because the other thing is too is that not only with guests, but also since I do the live stream Wednesday, and then I don't want to regurgitate the same things I said yesterday, today, where if it's Tuesday night, gives you a little bit of a balance, and then obviously with the stuff that's happening Tuesday night in the sports world, all day Wednesday, it gives me a little bit more flexibility to talk these things as opposed to just repeating them. So who knows? Maybe come Monday. Yeah, maybe come Monday's podcast, I'll give you a little 401 on that and keep you posted with that. When I mean, that was fun. Oh yeah, we could do one soon. Yeah, if we get Pistons Knicks, how about that? And not that I'm a Knick fan, so please. But how about that? We'll keep that open for that time. And yeah, I'll be rooting hard for the Pistons then. Oof. Last thing I want to see is the Knicks get to, and not that they will win the final, but you know what I mean. All right, people, let's just about wrap it up here. That'll do it. Another podcast episode in the books. I appreciate you guys for hopping on board, taking precious time out of your day to listen to what it is I have to say about what goes on in the toy department of life called sports. And of course, if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead on YouTube as you got the latest and greatest from me from the world of sports, as well as other content, which I got coming down the pike. So you definitely want to stay tuned. Obviously, I've given you a clue as to what will take place here over the next week or so. But with that being said, also on Apple, Spotify, for those who like to listen to their podcast, and also you can get the video on Spotify as well. Please throw me a few stars, write a review. I sincerely appreciate it. And for those who want to hit me up with any questions, comments, suggestions, whatever that may be, they could do so at the following. Social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the J Reels Podcast, or just J Reels on Instagram. Twitter, J Reels 1, just the number. Twitch, J Reels 1, just the number. Or the old-fashioned way, the J Reels Podcast at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to follow up with you guys and gals, because whether you do or do not know, it's what I love to do, people. In the blood and the DNA, as always, talking sports since birth. As long as I sit in front of this microphone and camera, I promise I'll deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury, my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens in the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. My lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, for who I am to whoever you are. The J Reels live stream and J Reels podcast always comes live, correct, direct, and in full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and the weekend as well. And until next time on the J Reels podcast, on the foot, baby. All right, let me get to the rest of your comments here. I see some comments up here. Yes. I wonder how that's going to go. Haven't been a fan of Skip. Stephen A, I'm down on big time. Yeah, I guess I have to tune into that. Yes. Definitely Fish and Angel. Without question. Yes, Bio, you too. Great sports day. I'm down. First 3-time guest. Yes, that would be. Absolutely. Have a wonderful day. Go Sports. Yes. Not to take that from Jay. Yeah, don't copy you again. Exactly. And then Bio could tie with the Dodgers to win the World Series. Yes, exactly. Can we get a live reaction show to that? Wait, a live reaction show to what? Oh, live reaction show to what? With the World Series? Yeah, clue me in there, the novice. Oh, yeah, you know what? I could do that. Yeah, I know. The thing is, I have to keep the volume off, right? Yeah, because that's going to be on in the background. All right, I'm going to think about that because, yeah, obviously I could put on the captions, which that'll be silly, but maybe I'll do a live stream of that. Maybe. I haven't decided, but that'd be a good idea. Or maybe after the show, I could do an analysis and breakdown of that. What do you think? Yeah, I like to. You know what? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll watch it. Yeah, because I'm not going to cut in like every commercial break and be like, hey, guys, maybe after first take tomorrow, I'll come out with a live. Oh, you think sound is okay on YouTuber? Oh, okay. Yeah, because the last thing, I just don't want it to be a thing where I get copyrighted. That's all. Yes, Val, go sports. Yeah, but even if not, what I could do is I could do a post-analysis, post-game show on it. I could do a live. And, yeah, we'll have some fun. You know what? I actually may do that. Yeah, because the last thing, I mean, listen, Skip, I kind of feel like, not that he's off the map, but, yeah, you kind of wonder how he and Stephen A. are going to do. And remember, that was more Skip Bayless's show back then, where now it's more Stephen A.'s show. So you have to wonder whether or not is Skip, not that he's going to be uncomfortable, but who knows? Yeah, get me on that show. I'll be ready to roast Stephen A. with some of the things that he said. Oh, my God. I'm sure today, the Knicks are going to win the championship, blah, blah. Skip's about to be 75. Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, I know. I've seen pictures of him hitting the gym and all that. So, there we go. Yeah, you got what you call it outside. I guess that's Amazon dropping boxes. Yeah, I didn't mention about OG Anunoby. I forgot about that. They got hurt. And then Stephen A., the Knicks need OG Anunoby to reach the finals. I mean, come on. You're making him out to be Kevin Garnett. It's a bit of a stretch, but, you know. I know, Skip 75, jeez. But it takes a while. He's got some weird takes. That's more clickbaity, rage bait. In fact, where's that one guy that, hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to look this up. Yeah, because there was this one guy that was talking about, he's from Philly, he came to New York, and yeah, he's been getting roasted, but a lot of his stuff is garbage anyway. It's clickbait, rage bait nonsense. Yeah. Legend of winning. All right, guys. I guess that's going to do it. Oh, hang on. It's been 10 years. Yes. Since he left, right? That's since 2016. I believe that sounds right. Which, hey, you know, they're going to talk about the same regurgitated nonsense. That's the thing. Oh, man. Get me on there. Show them a thing or two. That's all right. One day, my good people, one day I will get there. Just got to keep doing what I'm doing and then some. So, all right, guys. Any last comments? Before I sign off, I'll give you a few more seconds. Like I said before, enjoy your weekend. Have a great one. And shout out to Fuqua. Fuqua didn't join us today. Or Mark Salmons. Hey, no Mark Salmons today? No Hal Morris in the 90 World Series? Now watch, I say that, he'll pop up here. So, but yeah, guys, I guess on that note, I'll sign off. Appreciate you all. Thanks as always. Till next time, on the flip.